Thanks to all of our sponsors, and this week we're highlighting Dairy Berry's Recording Studio. Find him at dairyberriesrecordingstudio.com or call Mark at 303-456-8216. Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome back to the Cannabis Community Project. I am Brainstorm, bringing you your weekly podcast from the CCP studios high up in Denver, Colorado. I'm here exploring the business side of this newly emerging Colorado economy, here to focus on the business, the patient, the retailer, even the geek in the garage, creating that next innovation in cannabis. This is the first media platform to help fellow cannapreneurs build sustainable business models while living the lifestyle. Hey, let's quickly get on to this week's show. We got a lot lined up, and I want to make sure we don't run long. But do you remember last week's show? Did you learn something about the vape culture, about the vape industry, about vaporizing? What's going on? It's an exploding fad, and it will probably stick for at least a while, at least our lifetime. Vaporizing is somewhat controversial when it comes to the e-cigarettes, not so controversial when it comes to cannabis use, but a lot of information about health, little interesting facts about how it actually works, and a company that is a year into it, heading strong into the market. We spoke to the Happy Cig company. Do you remember that? You remember that interview? It was one that made me really want to go out and start testing some of these models and doing some on-air compare and contrast reviews or so. Hey, I got a review video on YouTube that's about ready to hit 10,000 views. So maybe I can do a little review about some of the products and individuals we run across that actually are selling product. Let's take a quick short-term memory relapse flashback to last week. Remember what we learned, and then we'll head forward to this week's show. Now, are you a owner in the company, or what is your...
I am. There are three of us. I'm technically the president, but there are three equal partners.
Oh.
It was May of last year that we started the company, but it's based off my partner's success in the e-cigarette business. So there's two main styles of batteries.
Okay.
There's a 510 or Ego twist, and then the other is like a two-prong design, which is like ours, where you would take your tank and you'd literally stick it right onto your battery with a two-prong connection.
And what it's doing is the battery is creating the tube on the inside to heat up, or a coil is heating up?
It's heating up, so the battery is heating up the coil that you're attaching to it. We've had batteries, people have been using them for a year. I haven't had anybody return one to me for the casing coming off of the battery. And I know our casings are part, composite, so they're part metal, part plastic. The biggest thing that you should probably worry about is what your heating element is made out of.
The coil itself.
Because the coil and the surrounding. What's that entire dish made out of that's heating to, ours heats to 409 degrees, which is the highest end of vaporization. 409,
that's the Fahrenheit temperature a vaporizer ideally works at?
Our vaporizer. That's what our vaporizer heats to.
Oh, okay. Now, how did you get into this business? Did you come from a line of engineering or sales? Where were you before this?
I was running the sales team for a medical ultrasound company in Chicago. I have experience in the medical field. I spoke to a lot of doctors about medical marijuana because it was coming along in Illinois.
And what is the current status in Illinois or Chicago with medical or recreational?
Illinois went legal on the books as of January 1st of this year, but it is not in action. The first seed has not gone into the ground yet. They want recreational to come through now, but we just had a whole thing, a week or two ago where they said, why don't we just go recreational at the same time as medical and nip all of this in the bud.
Right.
But who knows if they'll get the backing behind it.
And where can people find your products? From the website, Facebook? Where do you prefer people?
Yep. People can go to thehappysig.com and then link out to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and see pictures and videos of all of the different things that we've done in the last year. But yeah, thehappysig.com or their local head shop. And if they're not in their local head shop, ask them to call us so they can carry it.
Very cool, man. Hey, I appreciate your time. It's been very informative. From Chicago, that was the Happy Sig. I hope you learned just as much as I did, and if you liked it, go back, take another full listen. Make sure to click like, follow, share, leave a comment, and let somebody else know. Turn somebody else onto the show, and don't let them get away with turning you down because they think it's a pot show or some other crazy nonsense. This is not your son's stoner show. You should know that by now. But I do want to talk to you. So if you have a business, an idea, or just some thoughts about cannabis, contact me. I want to hear from you. I want to talk about health. I want to talk about legal issues, music, growing, technology, food. I want to learn about your business and know what you're doing in the cannabis industry to stay afloat, whether you're a businessman, an entrepreneur, or just an accidental cannapreneur. Contact me straight from the website or Facebook, Google Plus, or any other platform you can find us. We're out there, Cannabis Community Project. Feeling guilty about a time with cannabis? Get it off your chest and confess it on Cannafessions, your public forum to absolve your soul.
New voice message, Wednesday, 4:21 p.m.
Hi, my name is Bob, and this is my Cannafession. I was on a family vacation with my parents to Egypt, and I snuck away and hung out with the Bedouins for a while and smoked hashish out of their hookah and had some fun. They were pretty mad when they found out they didn't get to go. So, sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad.
And that was Cannafessions. If you have a confession to make, contact me via Facebook or the website at cannabiscommunityproject.com. There you have the always amusing and entertaining Cannafessions. If you would like to be a part of Cannafessions, you have a story to tell, send me an email. Let's set up a time to record it, or send me an audio file if you know how to do that. Or you can always call in and leave a voicemail. That's not the preferred way since the audio quality is low, but you can always call the studio line at Tau Media 970-316-2505. Leave your Cannafessions with me and we'll get it on the air. Let's move on now to This Week in News, Twin News, where we aggregate the best of social media in the world of cannabis, scrolling through our walls on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, even Quora. I actually found a good question that was interesting that I wanted to read, but we get the best of social media, report it back to you like we actually did some investigation out there, but you know what's going on. We're just bringing you an efficient way of getting all the news so you don't have to. This Week in News, Twin News. Good news! Here we go. First up, coming out of Gizmodo, posting that the FBI is struggling to hire hackers who don't smoke cannabis. That's right. There's a problem in the government. They haven't caught up to reality. So, unfortunately, I guess only pill poppers and alcoholics can work in the government and the FBI. MarijuanaDoctors.com posting, we honor the parents of medical cannabis kids who, regardless of all the negativity surrounding cannabis as a medicine, decide to fight for the health of their kids. We honor those who traveled across states, who had battled the legal system and soured judgments to ensure the health and safety of their children. This one's for you. Marijuana Policy Project. Join MPP at the National Cannabis Industry Association's Cannabis Business Summit this June in Denver, Colorado. Buy your tickets at cannabisbusinesssummit.com and get up 15% off with the code TPMPP15. This should be interesting. More and more associations, organizations, you got to be part of it like any other industry, doctors, lawyers. You have to constantly and consistently stay up to date with what's going on and associate network. I might be at that one. Hey, Show Me Cannabis has a photo from Dr. Oz. You know who Dr. Oz is, right? Daytime television, one of those doctors shows, blah, blah, blah. He is behind cannabis. As he says, quote, "It absolutely should be widely available in America." And he said that recently. This is just a couple days ago. Doctors are starting to get with it. Now it's time for the politicians. Cannabis Training University showing you again that there are ways to follow education in this industry. Learn how to be a grower, learn how to manage dispensaries, learn how to manage product. Check them out, Cannabis Training University. Hey, cannabis law reform has one here. Marijuana epilepsy trials proposed in Scotland. The Scottish researchers hope to conduct clinical trials on experimental epilepsy. Hey, I've said it before and we've said it many times on this show. It is not about money of why legalization is happening, it's about health. More and more people are getting sick and they're pushing for cures. It's coming out. Cannabis oil, the whole deal, can't be hidden, and very soon universities and medical facilities all over the place will be studying this stuff, and within 5 to 10 years it's going to be laughable the way we used to treat ourselves and others around this issue. Drug possession laws posting a nice photo that puts everything in perspective. So how many people die attributed to tobacco deaths every year? We've heard the numbers, hundreds of thousands, right? Of all the diseases and illnesses that come with smoke. Alcohol, 25,000. We know there's at least 20,000+ accidents every year involving alcohol. Then all the other health issues. Prescription painkillers, 16,000+. Just like non-prescription overdoses, 16,000+. How many deaths from marijuana? I'll give you 3 guesses, but I won't wait around for the answer. Coalition for Cannabis Policy Reform. Hey, do you know who Michelle Malkin is? Conservative hero and marijuana advocate. Learn about her at the cannabis.co. She's a conservative hero, yes, but she's also an advocate for medical marijuana. Hey, do you know what some of the biggest myths are about cannabis? The ones that have been debunked already by science? You might be surprised. Maybe a lot of them you already know. Go to alternate.org/drugs/10 biggest pot myths and read their article. Some of them are kind of funny. You know, some of the things like it's too dangerous to be prescribed as a medicinal use, increases crime, increases use by adolescents, inhaling cannabis significantly damages the lungs, no medicine is smoked, and many more. You can also find it on Cannabis Law Reform Facebook. Here's another county in another state, domino affecting its way through. Winfield County in Georgia to vote on marijuana legalization, reported by 9 News and then reposted again by California Cannabis Coalition. Here's one posted by EN News SPF and reposted again by Cannabis Coalition. But very interesting that South Carolina now is jumping into the hemp game. Lawmakers signing off on a measure. Senate Bill 839, reclassifying varieties of cannabis possessing minute quantities of THC as industrial crop rather than controlled substance. They're starting to catch on. The farmers around the world, most of them I would say are probably struggling since food is dominated, at least here in the U.S., by big food companies consolidating everything. So farmers are shriveling up and dying, and now we have an industry that's going to allow them to get back in the game. And there's going to be products upon products that are going to be made from the raw product of hemp. You know, here in Colorado, a lot of people think of us as a mountain state, but we're a hugely farming state also. Just like, as I imagine, most every state is. So we get so focused on the cities and what's going on in the metro areas and what's the cool urban this and that. But the majority of the country still lives in rural areas. And farming is still a very big industry and life for most people. Why not give people the chance to work the land and be farmers? Why do we all have to move to the city and be computer programmers, lawyers? Hemp is going to allow us to make oils, petroleum, clothing. We can actually start to manufacture again right here in country, in the U.S., because we're going to have access to cheap, affordable, raw product. And then with our creativity and technology advancements here, we can take that raw product and in a sense remake the world, remake what everything was made in petroleum plastics and convert them to hemp plastics. Petroleum gases and convert them to hemp gases. Synthetic cloths and cottons and convert them to hemp, and thousands of other products and things that can come. I'm excited for it. I think anybody that has some land should go into the hemp business. It's cheap. It's relatively easy to manage. You can grow a lot in a small amount of space, and you can chop it down and it comes back rather quickly. This is the future. And if South Carolina is going to jump on board, Colorado, we should have already been ahead of this by the years. Since 2012, we should have already had businesses signing up, getting their licenses, investing, buying up land and preparing it. And here we are, 2 years past the passing of our own legislation, and we're all focused on the medical and the recreational. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe if they keep us focused on the recreational, we'll forget about the industrial hemp part of it. The last little sentence in Amendment 64 tagged on, because maybe that's where the real threat is. Maybe the threat to the establishment is not whether or not people are going to become stoners and pot smoking doctors or whatever the fear was. Maybe is that people are going to see there's a way to compete with the establishment of industry. There's a way to use this product in an industrial form and create business, which truly takes wealth away. Having people get high is not really taking wealth away, because people aren't really going to stop drinking alcohol and using other such drugs. People that use, whether it's illegal or legal. I mean, there's going to be a slight increase and maybe a very tiny shift in the market because it's legal. But for the most part, if you're not into cannabis, just because it's legal doesn't mean you're going to be into it. But what it does mean is that businesses can be created, and it's going to contribute to that part of it. But what it also means is competitive businesses can be created. Those that can compete against textile and plastics and oils, creams and lotions, and everything else that can be made from raw product hemp. And that's where the true fear of losing money and losing wealth and control and power is. See, this whole time we always said, yeah, tobacco companies fear legalization. Or maybe they don't, because they would snatch it up and take control. Or alcohol companies fear it, because that would mean people would now have alternatives and switch over. Well, maybe it does mean that they would drink a little less. But what it also means is somebody doesn't have to be involved in that market at all. You can have your old farmer and your generational mom and pop farm growing acres and acres of hemp and creating thousands of dollars in profit because of the potential it brings us. That's the power that the people hold in this cannabis industry. That's the disruption that's going to happen to those in power. Shake the establishment. Make some change. That's all the news you need to know this week. And that was Twin News, This Week in News, your weekly source for up-to-date cannabis business. This week's show is brought to you by HMO Plus for all your growing needs. Visit them at www.hmopluss.com.
Check, yo. Check, Razor. I'm running with some of the endless flows of pro at bringing the ruckus. We kill them all, roll the fall, keeping the shit above it. I buzz like a bumble, drop jaws whenever I rumble. You said you write rhymes, but it sound like you got carpal tunnel or arthritis. I might just unnight this priceless. So how you gonna change overnight, kid? My style all wild, Chappelle, you flawed now. Sure bound to sink in my waters until you all drown. Revealing you all now, fake cats get put to sleep. The young vet, we hold the minds that you for seek. I pump from Long Beach, I call it treason. season. My to take your soul, kicking shit for no reason. You fools do better on being neutral, cause I go cuckoo. They see Rio and then I nuke you. Sex and bitch, they call me sutras. I make them useful. Shorty's trying to lock me down, but that's the shit I'm used to. This shit is crucial. Go Facebook, I'm friends and mutual. I won't remove you. I'll just let the karma suit you. This what the brew do. 40 ounce of in the sours. You know cowards, salted in towers. The world is ours.
Don't want it. Ill-minded, that's the Hans. Let me get him. You thought it was. Yo. Check the verbal attack. It's early in the rap to leave you in a surgical strap. They get your verse dispersed with a thirst for raps. All killer scrap with a thriller latch. You got a sick beat? My heartbeat sicker, call it an illa batch. They think the Riz is back, or the Jizz is back, or the Jig is back. Nah, sorry to disappoint. It's just a snoop killing tracks with no complications from this skill contemplating. Leave you contemplating from the combinations of your compilations. And I never fathom, just get at them with every last atom. Subtract an atom to the battle list that can't scrap with some animals. Stay with that antidote for those that always have MC fear. For you know the regular beast coast, but the coast gonna never be clear. He'll always kill this style because it don't get better by each year. Each other minute or missing life just becomes a leap year. Cause afterlife is known, we coming after life. Couldn't see him afterlife with half the mics, he killing afterlife. Could you pass the mic for the train of thoughts of assassinites? A shot at every verse with the ill-minded is one you have.
Well, thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
Yeah, no problem.
And are you also an owner in the company?
Correct, yes. My name is Brandon Shepard, and I am the CEO of Extracting Innovations. And we have brought to the public a 10-minute butter infuser, stovetop butter infuser, as well as some baking mixes that are scientifically formulated to go with that butter.
Excellent. And I remember seeing this at the show, and it was very fascinating. It was, it looked literally like a home appliance. It was probably about 6-9 inches or so high. It looked kind of like a small coffee blender is what it first appeared to look like. And I watched the guy do it on the spot, melt down and extract the butter and the whole deal. And it was very fascinating to watch.
Yeah, exactly. You saw our chef. His name is Victor Batten. He's also co-owner of the company. Him and I worked on trying to make the most efficient and the most potent butter. And we tried everything from a crock pot to pressure cooker to just about everything. And we just landed on this technology and was amazed by it by the very first time.
Now, how long have you been in business?
This is honestly, we have been in business for 6 months. The Cannabis Cup was our first real public exposure, the first real fair we went to, and it was great success.
Yeah, I can imagine, because when I went by the booth, it was early and there was already a small crowd. And those type of products, I think, really catch the interest of the public. The things that people can almost imagine themselves having in their home. It's non-invasive. It's almost like an appliance that you'd see sitting on your kitchen counter. So I can imagine you guys did very well. And from what I saw, I would imagine you're going to keep doing well.
Yeah, we wanted to put the power into the consumer's hands. They could do it at home. Pennies on the dollar. It pays for itself the very first time.
What is the price?
So what we have is a basic Mota pot, and that costs $40, and it takes 1 stick of butter and runs that through, and we use anywhere from 3.5 to 5 grams of flour. That's $40. We also have a kind of a starter kit, and that is the Mota pot with 3 mixes, a brownie, a peanut butter, and a chocolate chip, and that goes for $50. We also sell the mixes in a 6-pack on Amazon as well.
Just for those who didn't have the opportunity like I did to see it firsthand, if you can help describe a little bit about what you mean when you say a stick of butter and 5 grams of flour. It's going to sound literally too simple, but you're literally talking about taking a stick out of the butter of the refrigerator, putting it into the pot, dropping your product in there, pushing a button, and almost voila, in a sense. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
It really blew my mind, because I had experimented in the past with trying to make butters and oils at home, probably like many people, and ended up with a mess on my hands and a house that just reeked for days, if not weeks on end. What is your product what is actually happening from a technology standpoint?
So, great you asked. So this is actually some very old technology. This is basic herbal extraction. So we're taking it and we are doing steam activated. So basically you have your butter in the bottom of this vessel, put some water in there. Once the water turns to steam, the butter is melted, and it will actually push the butter through a column that contains your flour, and it is all collected in the top in a very cup. It's already filtered out. All you do is pour it in, and it's ready to go.
And when you say flour, you're talking about cannabis product of flower bud, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
just so people don't get confused and go out and buy a bag of wheat or white bleach flour and pour it in there. This is a cannabis device. Is it strictly for cannabis, or can other extracts for cooking purposes or other purposes be used in it?
We do everything. We have made anything that can go into solvent, into an oil, can be extracted through this machine. We have made some of the most awesome maitre d' butter that will just blow your mind with using just a little bit of seasoning that you get out of your cabinet.
So butter, the main or the only product that can be used?
Yeah, so basically what's happening is the butter is a fat and THC is fat soluble. So it's just like you're running this hot liquid butter through the THC and it wants to go into the matrix of the butter. There's a lot of science behind it. And let me step back a second. We have actually run any kind of fat through the Mota pot. Well, you can run, our chef runs olive oil all the time through it. I actually had a client run some shea butter for some topical ointments. So any kind of oil or fat that can turn liquid will go through the machine and extract their THC.
So for individuals that are concerned with eating butter or are health conscious in other ways with what type of oils and fats they put into their body, this gives them control to choose basically whatever type of grease and fat you want to put together.
Yeah, if you want to have a vegan diet, you can go with the coconut oil.
There you go. I like coconut oil myself. So you've been in business 6 months. Where did the origin or the genesis of this business come from? You're the CEO. Are you also the founder and idea man?
Technically, yeah. It was actually a convolution of a bunch of minds that came together. Seth, Victor, and I, we came together to have the one sole purpose of making this good and easy. Seth Cox and I come from the food industry. We've worked for consumer packaged good companies, the largest food companies in the world, for years. Victor is a classically trained chef. So we actually came from the food industry and came from it that direction. Started with the mixes and then decided we needed some butter to go with them that was perfect and easy, and the two just came together.
Nice, very nice. So you have background in the food industry. So the question is, why did you choose cannabis versus just opening a restaurant or pursuing one of the many other avenues in culinary arts? Did you see something different in cannabis, or do you have a personal story or connection to it?
I'm a trained professional in this industry. Yeah, I've been a recreational user of cannabis for a long time. I enjoy it. I've smoked cannabis with people all over the world. It's been great. So I have a personal connection to it that way.
You have a map on the wall with the color tax of everywhere in the world you've smoked with people.
Yeah, I got the picture and the picture too. So.
Where's Waldo in a sense? Very good. So you traveled around. You've been in the food. You started in business. Are you a business person by nature, or are you kind of an accidental business person?
No, both my parents own their own businesses. My mom's had hers for the past 30 years. My dad for like 20 years. I've owned businesses in the past that have failed. I learned a lot of lessons. So I think it's kind of in my blood. I'm a food product consultant right now. That's my day job until this one really takes off. But
okay.
Yeah, entrepreneurial spirit, I think it's great. I think it's part of this culture, and I think we should really support it.
Well, I loved what you said, my day job, because I would say 80% of everybody I've spoken to has a day job and is working their side job in the cannabis industry, looking to build it up. I mean, only one or two people I've met have been full-time, big companies in the cannabis industry. Everybody else is pretty much doing what you said, and that's a very important, I think, key point that people understand if they want to be involved in the cannabis industry. There's not necessarily the industry that is providing the jobs for people just to say, well, I think I'll go get a job in the cannabis industry, because most likely there's not really a lot of jobs right now other than some minimum wage kind of working behind the dispensary counter type jobs and maybe some trimmers and other such. So I like the fact that you're building your own industry within this industry, but you're still sensible enough to realize that you have to work another job until it gets going. So I like that, because that really shows the true spirit of an entrepreneur versus somebody who's kind of grandiose in their ideas and quits their job and then tries to do something in this industry.
Yeah, I agree. We've done it on a shoestring budget. We only pay for what we can, and we try to be smart with our money, and we don't want to get into debt, and it's just great. Those possibilities are out there for anybody that wants to do it.
How do you think of yourself, as a virtual business or a brick and mortar business?
Oh, we're definitely brick and mortar.
Okay. In what sense? You have a factory manufacturing the products somewhere. You have office spaces, people in retail selling that type of brick and mortar.
I think of it more of a brick and mortar as we have put in so much sweat equity that we have basically built the foundation. Now we're starting to build the walls of this company. So it's probably more of a metaphorical type of statement, but we do have an office. It's meager, but it works. We have storage area. We have inventory. So I would say, yeah, we're sitting good.
Give us a little insight to your business operations, not because we're spies trying to steal your product, but because we're trying to understand how people are currently functioning and surviving in the industry and making a business and helping people become better business people, even if they're not necessarily from a business background. So if you can give us some insight into your business model and some of your operational strategies and what you're doing to function like any other legitimate industry and business.
Okay, really you probably heard this before in this industry that right now it's kind of a gold rush, and Colorado is famous for its gold rush. The people who own the mines made a lot of money. The people who own the hardware store that sold picks and axes made just as much money. So we're actually trying to supply something that does not contain THC, but is very user-friendly in an environment where it's easy to get the THC.
Mm-hmm. I like that, and it's very much in line with my own philosophies and what I have advised to other small businesses. When people ask me about, what can I do to get involved in the cannabis industry, I tell them to stay away from looking at being a dispensary or a center or even a grower in that sense, and to look at all the businesses that surround it, the planets that are revolving around the sun are where it's at, really, in the sense of what's going to happen in the industry, because being a dispensary is so regulated and so expensive. And then being a grower or anything else, you're dealing with a commodity market. So it's eventually it's going to be like selling corn. It's going to be very expensive and not very profitable. But being a bar, as I used to tell small brewers that were starting their small home brews, anybody can make beer and some people make it better than others, but liquor stores aren't cool, and the people that hang out at liquor stores typically get arrested. Bars, right, are cool. Bars are where people hang out and spend money. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be a liquor store or do you want to be a bar? And I use that same philosophy when I talk to people about cannabis. So I'm glad to hear that a lot of what you're saying reinforces that. And I think more people out there are going to be encouraged to go ahead and start a business without the fear or lack of confidence about having a business background. Do your partners come from a business background?
None of us do, actually. I always tell people I learned everything I know from the food companies I worked for. I'm actually a product developer, so I'm a scientist by trade. But I would get to go to accounting meetings and sales meetings and marketing meetings and focus groups. So they would actually include us all in the entire operation so that we understood what it takes to run a very successful business.
Nice. I mean, investment in yourself and your time, the willingness to learn, I think is one of the fundamentals an entrepreneur needs to have, is that constant seeking of training and education and how to get better, instead of waiting for the knowledge or waiting for somebody to step in and fill that role. They take it upon themselves to go out and say, I'm going to find the answer to these questions. How do I get in business? How do I get funded? How do I put a marketing program together? So one of the things I would like to know, since you're very new in the business, is what is your investment? Obviously, you could tell me about the time you've put in, but what did it actually take to get your business formed and consider yourself in business?
I would say, actually, it took us about $10,000.
Okay.
And a lot of help from a lot of friends that I've made over the years. That helps.
So $10,000 plus many, many man hours of resources and friends that you relied upon in addition to that.
Correct. $10,000 gets you the inventories and some advertising and those types of things, the things you can hold, the labor, the ideas, the time put in, the creativity, that all comes, that's priceless. But I try to surround myself with the people that I know I can pull that from.
And where did that money come from?
We just each tallied in. I cashed in my 401k. I figured this was probably a better investment than that would ever be. So,
well, there you go. There's the leap of faith that sometimes is necessary to actually get something going. Do you come from a background of means where even if you didn't have that money, you would have had friends or parents or somebody to raise that initial funding from?
Yeah, and, there's plenty of ways. I think so. Personally, yes. And I actually shopped around the idea to investors to see if they wanted to buy in company and own part of it. And luckily, we were turned down a couple times. And so we do. And we said, hey, how can we get around this and keep going? We found those resources and now ended up not needing those initial investments. In the long run, a little more stressful, but could pay off dividends in the end.
I like that. I like that what you said. Luckily, we were turned down. I think that's a very powerful statement because it's the reflection of hindsight, right? The 2020 vision that lets you realize what was bad in one moment turned out to actually be good. I think discouragement is probably one of the biggest barriers to entrepreneurs, and especially if you don't have a business background. Maybe you're a grower or you're a glass blower and you want to start your business, but you're not from a business background and you're wondering, well, how long is it going to take to establish something or start to make some sales, or what type of investment am I looking at? And then a couple bad things happen. Like people tell you you're crazy, they'll never give you any money, it's a waste of time, you'll get raided by the feds. And all those defeats, if you hang in there, eventually turn out to be triumphs that allow you to actually hold more of your own control and profit because you were turned down initially. So I like that you're able to see that insight. I think that's something other people should really learn from also.
I tell all my clients, they say, what's the secret? And I said, all you have to do is show up. All you have to do is show up and stand there. Even if you're all by yourself, you just stand there. Okay? And pretty soon, stand there long enough, someone's either going to come by or you're going to start thinking, you know what? How can I get people to come by?
Right.
Okay? The same thing is true if you want to break into a market where there's already a lot of market share and you just want to kind of get a piece of it. As long as you show up, you'll start getting it.
Well, I mean, it's almost like the panhandler on the corner. It may not be the best career, but as long as they're standing there long enough, people will give them money. So in a sense, you got to start somewhere. Maybe you start as a panhandler, just showing up and seeing what drops your way. But once you get that money, what do you do with it? Do you buy yourself a suit and fill out a job application and use that as a leverage point to move on up in the world? Or do you come back the next day and stand there again and wait to see what happens?
Yeah, there's two ways to look at it. You can say, okay, the first day wasn't very good. Maybe I should just change the message on my sign as I stand on the street corner. Maybe I don't need to invest in a suit. I just need another piece of cardboard and put a different message.
Right. Have you seen the YouTube video of the guy on the street, panhandler who was blind, I think, not getting a lot of action, and then somebody came by and changed his sign, and then all of a sudden he was getting dollar bills thrown at him like Saturday night strip club. The sign was basically a change of messaging. Instead of saying, please help, give what you can, it changed to say something like, I wish I could see the world as beautiful as you do. And that change of messaging was enough to trigger a response in people that they could relate to versus, hey, do you have any money that you can give me?
Exactly. And I think the new entrepreneurs' biggest failures is they refuse to change their message.
Well, I mean, I mean, for what it's worth, when on the show here every week, I hit certain messages like stop talking about pot, don't use words like weed and ganja, and start using words like cannabis. And when people talk to you about pot, change their vocabulary. When people say, hey man, are you doing that marijuana show? You change their vocabulary by saying, no, I do a cannabis show. Marijuana is actually a slang that was used about 100 years ago from Mexican culture to deem marijuana negative against them. I don't know anything about marijuana, but I do a cannabis show. If you would like to learn about cannabis, that's what I'm all about. And really stopping people in their tracks and re-educating them one by one that sometimes it's the message. If you talk about, hey man, you want to do the ganja, well, people look at you like you're a stoner. And if that's the message you want to give, I guess, fine. If you're Cheech and Chong in the 70s and you're trying to sell movies, that's the message you want to give. But if you're trying to file with the state for a business and get your tax license and set up a retail shop and have the general public come in and give you money, you might need to change your message a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
All right, then.
I agree. Yeah, and that's what's funny is that's what I strong-heartedly agree. I say cannabis everything. My mom, she's, oh, you like the grass? No, it's cannabis, right? So I agree.
Grass.
And our number one issue right now is definitely educating the consumer and educating the people who aren't consumers but have been scared of this, right, this edibles arena because of the marijuana portion or the legality of it.
Mm-hmm. Edibles is one of those things that I think really crosses the line to both sides, because when you're dealing with edibles, you can deal with professionals, you can deal with elderly people, you can deal with children. Edibles really allows the concept of consuming THC or consuming cannabis in some other form to be introduced. When you're talking about bud, smoking flower, it comes with a lot of history and a lot of baggage and a lot of preconceptions. So even vape pens sometimes can cause kind of a cringe in people. But eating a brownie or eating a cookie or some other type of edible form, it's so passive and allows, I think, the conversation to be brought up in a better light.
I agree. There are many people out there that have said, the smoking in general, because of cigarette smoking, has gotten such a bad rap that they don't even want to think about smoking anything else. But hey, the edible is actually an alternative that is reasonable.
Absolutely.
I can give you some anecdotal from my point of view. And like I said, I've been smoking for 20 years. I never liked edibles until we came up with this product because they were never consistent. 3 out of 4 times I buy them, they never work.
Uh-huh.
And so from what I can, from my personal experience, this is where I see the more analgesic effects. I get actually pain relief. I get better sleep from it than smoking. And it lasts much longer in my case.
That doesn't necessarily have to be an opinion. I think that can be backed up with some medical science, that when you put something through your digestive system, it's going to be in your body longer than smoking vapors or smoke.
Sure. I mean, it all goes through the liver. So it's going to either go, it's either the quickness of going through right into your bloodstream, through your lungs, through your liver and being processed, rather than being digested slowly through that way. Yeah. So
right. And there's a chemical. Case, There's a chemical it produces when it goes through your liver. I heard it on the Joe Rogan podcast. I forget the exact chemical, but when you eat edibles and it goes through your liver, it produces a certain chemical which makes the potency more extreme and lasting than smoking, and almost creates a more hallucinogenic psychoactive effect. If you listen to Joe Rogan Experience, about every 3rd, 4th show, he'll be talking about cannabis, eating, smoking, or something. And he's always talking about it. I never remember the exact word he uses, but there's a distinct chemical that's produced when you eat edibles when it goes through your liver. Well, you're 6 months in, so what has your schedule been like for the last 6 months? Give us a little insight to what it takes from morning to night to keep a business going. What is the operational side of running the business like?
We do phone calls, we have meetings with our distributors, we talk with the manufacturing. We have our mixes manufactured here locally in Colorado, so we have to communicate with them. We have to make sure those are okay, right? If they're just skimping and they're just selling the wrong formula out there, we need to know that. So we have to test every batch that comes in. Now, it sounds like a lot of work, and right now it does not fill an 8-hour day. What you do is you make a few phone calls, right, and then you have to wait. And then you make a few emails, and then you wait. And you buy some stuff, and it ships in 3 days, right? So it's getting processed. It's not an 8-hour day. That's why we have other jobs.
Right.
There will be at some point where the volumes get big enough and the logistics becomes big enough where, we do have to devote more of our time. And then hopefully at that point, the revenue coming in will start to supplement these other incomes.
Well, what type of marketing are you doing?
So really we've hit just 2 trade shows, the Cannabis Cup and another one that weekend. And then actually we pretty much sold out of our inventory at the Cannabis Cup. So we've been laying low since then. Yeah, we've been laying low. We got another shipment coming in. Yeah, thank you. It was great.
That right there, sorry to cut you off, but that right there tells you that's a proof of concept. That tells you that when you put the product in front of people, they want to buy it. I think that's probably the biggest indicator to anybody that what you have is a pretty cool product. And if you can send me some pictures, I want to put them on my Facebook and the webpage so people can see exactly what I'm talking about. But I think that one statement of we sold out at the Cannabis Cup is your proof of concept. That right there says you're going to be a success, man. it's going to blow up.
Well, I have to say, the very last person that came to buy one came and talked to me, and they said they wanted to ask the scientist some questions. I said, okay. And I looked down, and he had the competitor's flyer sticking out of his pocket. I said, oh, are you shopping around? He said, yes. So we sat there for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and he gave me $40. He walked off with a Mota pot, and I looked over, and the brochure was sitting on my table. So to me, that was the most powerful statement I had the entire weekend.
Oh, yeah, man. You're 6 months in. I think if you get that type of feedback, it's almost enough validation to almost quit your job and go for full steam ahead. Pawn off your mom's jewelry and your wedding ring. Get that thing funded because people are telling you they're wanting to buy it, and I don't know why that would change. Usually it's the other way around, where people little by little kind of get turned on to it before it picks up steam, but you're kind of coming out of the gate with some traction there.
Yeah, and I think we just had all of our ducks in a row. We came out we all had our story straight. We knew our technology was good. We were very, passionate about our product, and we just went out there with the glow of a perfect sales team, and I think it showed. I think people won over the product as well, the combination.
Have you thought about taking this to one of the crowdfunding platforms?
We've gone to some of those. There are some restrictions in a lot of those that we could not fall under.
Like Kickstarter probably wouldn't let you. They probably wouldn't let you, but there's a couple out there, and one called Fund Anything, which is just like the name says. But if not, that right there is another great opportunity for somebody else to pick that up and create an exclusive cannabis crowdfunding site. Just like last week we had the interview with the Cannabis Commodities Exchange, working out a commodity exchange. So somebody else needs to basically step in and create a crowdfunding site that's exclusively for cannabis. Maybe I'll do it.
Great idea. I'll be the first one on there. We'll put some stuff on there.
Well, because why shouldn't you be funded? You're a startup with a product that's already manufactured and fabricated and ready to go. You have a proof of concept in sales. You have some revenues. It's basically one of those situations where why shouldn't somebody throw money your way? Why should they be restricted? You're in the same position as anybody else with a half-brained idea and some product they're trying to bring to the market.
Sure. Yeah, and you know what? And I was talking to my wife today about this actually, and we have some people, investors, like, I want to throw some money at it, and we just keep kind of pushing it away. But I was thinking a crowdfunding site would be really, if we could find one, would be a very optimum way where we could get our products, because we would throw back a lot to the people who donated. So to get our product out there as well, and so T-shirts, and mixes, and whatever it took. We are definitely interested in looking into that more, especially as we're starting to grow.
Well, I usually don't do this on air because I try to keep them separate, but go to my site, theopportunagroup.com, OPPOR tuna, right? Opportunagroup.com, which is a crowdfunding aggregation site which has about 50 different crowdfunding sites for all the different categories and topics and themes on there, and use that as your basis to navigate through some of these sites and finding the one that's right for you, because I think you should be funded before somebody else with bigger pockets comes along and tries to take the market.
Well, I appreciate it. That's awesome.
Yeah, theopportunagroup.com. It's one of my other companies.
Awesome.
And I appreciate your insights into your business and letting us know about how you're working it. And let's get your website one more time.
It's Eat Cannabis, EATCANNIBLES.com.
Excellent. And you're here in Denver, correct?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Well, we should meet up sometime and have a beer.
Definitely.
Very good. Well, I appreciate it.
Awesome. Can I send you a Mota pod?
Dude, are you kidding me? Why else do you think I do this podcast?
We got the Mr. Pichu. Go ahead or go long. It's me, who you get along. I'm always through. Now up, love letting me hold the... Get frisky, up for grabs like who I hit a lick with catfishy. We'll just wait till his dog finish or swimming. Caption when we catch it, do it at me. A conflict in the kitchen, palms and fingers itching. Figured out if I'm numb, then that's gonna make me richer. This money ain't a joke, I won't play dumb, so I'ma get it. Was instrumental, so pull strings to make income, then spin it. The truth, I've been it, the rules, I've been it. Taking selfies with fans, we banned it. Still your girl, my crew, some fuck bandits. Could you imagine in a year all that my fuck bandit? Flop. Sharp off the tongue like the blade of a razor. Never taking orders like a damn waiter. Reppin' New York like my name Walt Frazier. Been my mama angel, but I've been a hellraiser. Sharp off the tongue like the blade of a razor. Never taking orders like a damn waiter. Reppin' New York like my name Walt Frazier. Been my mama angel, but I've been a hellraiser.
Thanks for listening to this week's show. Make sure to come back next week. We're going to have even more guests lined up, speaking with dispensary owners, growers, business owners. Make sure to follow us on all of the social media, Facebook, Kush Common, Google+. You can listen to our shows live from the website or your preferred listening platform. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, even YouTube, all under the same name, CannabisCommunityProject.com. We'll see you next week.